Okay, our second to last game here for the FBS on the docket. We have Coastal Carolina, a 10.5-point favorite at Arkansas State. This game carries an over-under of 60.5 points, and it kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. So it's not exactly a marquee game, but there is a reason I want to bring up. I do think this is interesting. The market's been in favor of Coastal all week. They're up from -9. Arkansas State comes off of a bye week, has a slight rest advantage, though. If you're just looking at week to week and not paying attention to dates, Coastal hasn't played since last Tuesday, so really it's only a 3-day rest advantage for Arkansas State, but that's not nothing. I tried fading Tim Beck again against App State last week, and for the first time this year, that went poorly. I've been pretty happy fading Tim Beck, but Coastal Carolina went out and beat App State. Their offense actually looked really competent. They opened things up. They let Grayson McCall make plays. Crazy idea to have your superstar quarterback running around making plays. I'm not sure. I tried to find the answer to this. I just couldn't. I'm not sure if Tim Beck handed the play calling off to trick it, or if it was the other way around, or if it was neither, but it looked new. It looked fresh. It looked interesting. It looked creative. In my head, I assume that means Tim Beck handed it off to somebody else because I don't trust Tim Beck as far as I can throw him. This is also a big-time whoops on Arkansas State. Hand up, my fault. New quarterback came in, played out of his mind for 3 games, and I really thought that this team was turning a corner, kind of like how we talked about Oklahoma State earlier in the show. It turns out that's not the case. They got shut out 37-0 by Troy, so maybe they still are kind of bottom barrel of the FBS here. They're ranked no better than 106th in EPA in any metric, or 112th in any success rate metric. Offense, defense, rushing, passing, or otherwise. Kelly, what do your numbers say about Arkansas State and how hilariously wrong I was?
Well, not on that one, but just quick note. The final score of the Arkansas State-Troy game, I had to check because that's on my graphics. I was like, oh, shoot, did I make this wrong? It was 37-3. Arkansas State did get a field goal.
Okay. Oh,
late in the fourth quarter. It was late in the fourth quarter. I more so checked. I was like, wait, is my graphic wrong? Because I have made mistakes before. I have pulled information wrong or had mistakes in the data. So they did get their field goal at the end of the game, Brett.
Okay, 37-0 is when I checked out and said, okay, the 16.5 cover's not happening.
No, not happening at that point in the game. The numbers say this one has a watchability score of 3.5. That's pretty low, to be honest with you. But it's still an interesting game to talk about for the couple of reasons that you talked about. At 1-2 in conference play, it's been a disappointing season for my preseason Sun Belt East favorites, Coastal Carolina. I still have the chance -13.5 in this one. It's an 83% win expectancy. The Coastal offense is number 54. That's by far the best unit in this game. Their defense is number 79. That makes them the second best unit in this game. So clearly Coastal has the advantage on both sides. It's usually like that when you've got a game that's got a spread of 2 touchdowns. For Arkansas State, this team was dead last in my most deserving rankings for the first month of the season, due largely to the fact they got beat 73-0 at Oklahoma. That's going to drag you down when that's one of 3 data points early in the year in the most deserving rankings. We don't overweight that for the power ratings, but in the early year most deserving, that's going to be that's going to be a big factor there. They also bottomed out as dead last in the power ratings for 1 week in September as well. Now the Red Wolves are number 125 in the power ratings. They have the number 103 defense, the number 125. Sorry, the 103 offense, number 125 defense. That is the worst opposing defense that Coastal will face this season based on my current numbers. This is not good for Arkansas State. They're not last anymore, but they're still in that bottom 10. It's not where you want to be. The Sun Belt East remains wide open, and the Chants need a win in this one to stay in the race. If they lose it, go ahead and forget about it. Bottom line, I have Coastal Carolina -13.5. It's a 17% chance that Arkansas State earns their first victory in this series since 2019.
It's a game I'm at least going to watch back with intrigue and intent, because I need to know if Jalen Rayner is actually turning this team around and they just ran into a very good defense in Troy, because Coastal Carolina, not great defensively, or if it was just like this 3-game blip that's just not going to happen anymore. But the way I see it is there's 2 momentum swings going in opposite directions for each of these teams. And so that's why I took Coastal Carolina with the points, and I still would. I'd really take them at any reasonable number. I have to throw reasonable in there so you don't come at me and say, well, what about -20 foot? No, stop it. Just reasonable as far as it can move, really, under 14. Mostly because Arkansas State does look like they really are just that bad. I want to know, though, who's calling the plays for Coastal Carolina. That's going to determine how I view them for the rest of the year. Was that really a shift in philosophy? Was it really a handoff in offensive play calling? I can tell you that was not the same offensive game plan that they've had for a majority of this year, specifically that Georgia State game. I do need to know if this is going to be a permanent change moving forward, because if so, I'm going to change my stance on Coastal Carolina and get behind them more often before the market catches up.
And Brett, real quick on that, because you mentioned App State, Georgia State, it got me looking at the schedules here. Again, Model likes Coastal comfortably. This could be kind of a sandwich game, though, for the Shants. They're coming off the win at App State. That's huge. And next week they welcome in Marshall. That's a much better power-rated team than Arkansas State. This could be a sandwich-type game. You're going on the road.
Sure.
It's just something to keep in mind. But Arkansas State is pretty darn bad by the power ratings. I don't expect it to be that. Just keep it in mind. If Coastal comes out and lays an egg, you said, what happened? Big win last week. Big game next week. We've seen it before. We'll see it again.
Yeah, I do believe they can charter into Jonesboro, but that's another one of those college towns that's like super far removed from any metro area. Been there too. Beautiful stadium, actually. They have waterfalls in their end zone. It's great.